Hello there everyone, I'm Nick Yakabuchi and welcome back to another episode of RealScreenReviews.com. Our next review is Piranha 3D, and it is... I actually don't know what it is. Let's just call this a cheesy, monster-in-the-water, dripping, gory bloodfest with naked chicks. I think that is definitely going to be the next major category added to the Academy Awards ceremony come next February. Well anyway, Piranha opened up on Friday, August 20th, 2010, and it stars Elizabeth Shue, Jerry O'Connell, Ving Rhames, Christopher Lloyd, Richard Dreyfuss, and Stephen R. McQueen. This film comes to us from director Alexander Aja, the past director of horror films Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland, and the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. This time he moves the terror to the water smack dab in the middle of spring break, where 20,000 teenage students arrive just in time to become lunch. Now our story begins in the wonderfully landscaped desert town of the fictional Lake Victoria, standing in for the beautiful Lake Havasu. As I just mentioned, 20,000 students have arrived to wreak havoc on the local police for a week or two. The local police consist of Chief Julie Forrester, portrayed by Elizabeth Shue, Ving Rhames, and a Marine investigator Novak, played by Adam Scott. Chief Forrester has 3 children, and her oldest son, Jake, soon becomes the central character of the film. He has a love interest, and he must also fend off the very over-the-top scumbag of the century, Jerry O'Connell. Jake is portrayed by Stephen R. McQueen and shares the namesake with his grandfather, the legendary Steve McQueen, star of Bullitt and The Great Escape. Before I ever even knew this fact, I had written in my notes that this kid had given a very credible performance, given this movie could be the cheesiest movie of all time. Richard Dreyfuss actually begins the film as the old-timer fisherman singing "Show Me the Way to Go Home," which was one of the many tributes paid to the original Jaws, even including the movie poster. Now, he doesn't last very long because there is an earthquake underwater, and because of this, the seafloor cracks open and unleashes what looks like around 1 million bloodthirsty piranha. They soon devour any and everything in their path and are making their way toward the lively town so occupied by irresponsible college teens. We do also get a very cool cameo from Christopher Lloyd as the town aquatic expert that shows up to let us in on anything that we needed to know at that point in time, and he does this, in my opinion, in his own best impersonation of Doc Brown. Then you have Jerry O'Connell that had me howling in the aisles as a dirtbag producer of what can only be described as the equivalent of Girls Gone Wild videos. He is one of the best scumbags in the history of movies. Now, the director has lightened the tone of this film from, say, his previous The Hills Have Eyes, but not on the violence or the gore in any way. Once the piranha arrive in Lake Victoria, the body count starts and the numbers just keep a-rolling right in. You have teens being chewed, dismembered, ripped apart, and dying in more creative deaths than most of the Final Destination films. I would even go so far as to say that the piranha in this film recreate an event from the John and Lorena Bobbitt playbook. It was really kind of interesting. I really laughed through most of this movie because it's so busy trying to be the cheesiest and worst movie of all time. How can't you just have fun with it? And the fact that the film knows just how horrible it is in the first place makes me not hate it in the least. It's really funny because the 3D technology really truly does take something that's utterly and completely horrible, like, say, this movie, and brings it up to the level of being tolerable and even enjoyable. Even movie lovers out there don't realize that Alfred Hitchcock is the one person that had enough guts to create a full dramatic 3D film. He released Dial M for Murder in 3D in the 1950s and seems to me to be the only person that didn't need a gimmick to go along with the red and blue glasses. He once again did what he always did, and that was produce a masterpiece of film that still stands today as brilliant as it did 60 years ago. Hitchcock didn't need animation, special effects, or anything to go along with 3D technology because he always started in the best situation, and that was with a great story. It makes me wonder what director from today could pull it off. Steven Soderbergh, Gus Van Sant? What about Woody Allen or Martin Scorsese? I really can't wait to find out. Oh well, at 90 minutes, Piranha is filled with carnage, naked girls, and an underwater ballet sequence that I guarantee will have Esther Williams rolling over in her grave throughout its entire theatrical run. If you're looking for laugh-out-loud hilarity all the while being drenched in blood, then this is definitely your pick at the multiplex. I can't despise this film because I believe that it succeeds in being completely cheesy and over-the-top campy. If you want to check your brain at the door and enjoy ridiculous violence, then please go and see Piranha 3D. And if your usual pick is, say, The English Patient or Shakespeare in Love, I would tell you to avoid this film at all costs. Me, I'm right down the middle on this one, and I'm going to give it 2 stars out of 4. And remember, people, I'm not always right, only when it comes to the movies. And thank you for your attention.